put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the program. It is the Michael Dukes Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on your favorite radio station and FM translator, and, of course, live around the world on the internet every morning at michaeldukeshow.com, where you'll find the audio-only stream and, of course, links to our social media sites like Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, where you can come in and join us in the chat room and hang out and just have a wonderful conversation and a good way to start your morning every morning right here on the big radio program. It is Firearms Friday. That's the one day a week that we dedicate to stories from around the country and around the world about guns and gun rights, the Second Amendment, tips, tricks, tactics, whatever you want to talk about. It's our favorite day of the week. It's our favorite day of the week where we get a chance to just kind of riff about things that are happening in relation to gun rights and more. We appreciate you guys coming in and being part of it today. Thank you for joining us. I mean, I can't believe it's Friday already. Current temperature is 35 with 35 with light rain and snow down here on top of the world in Homer, Alaska. Up in Fairbanks, they are expecting a snow dump up there. Accumulations between 3 and 5 inches from 3 p.m. this afternoon until Sunday. So they're saying that travel could be difficult. Hazardous conditions could impact the Friday evening commute. And so be expecting that up there. Down here on the Kenai Peninsula, there's a weather advisory with more snow up to 10 inches. Up to 10 inches of snow accumulation total. Wind gusts as high as 35 miles per hour in the southern Ketchimak Bay. So the southwest Kenai Peninsula to southern Ketchimak Bay until 6 p.m. tomorrow. So we're expecting a big dump. Travel could be very difficult. Hazardous conditions could impact the Friday morning and evening commutes. And, of course, being right here hovering around the freezing mark, they're expecting icy conditions to develop throughout the day, as well as wet roadways and freeze and snow accumulations. Gradually cooling air mass is going to transition from rain until heavy snow. And then the highest accumulations is expected along higher elevations, such as, right here, Diamond Ridge. It's going to be, oh, man. I remember what happened last November. You guys were not, we weren't quite on the air yet with the other stations, but that was when I went out one morning and there was a half inch of snow on the deck, and I went back into the studio and started working, and I came out 8 hours later and there was 24 inches of snow or something. I mean, it's just nutty. So anyway, snow expected both north and south. So just be aware of that. Also, of course, they got some gusty winds in the southeastern part of the Fairbanks census area towards the Trims camp up there at the North Range. They're expecting winds up to 55 miles an hour up there as well. So wind and snow. It's just another winter. It's gonna be great. Currently 36 in Kenai, and it's anyway, it's warm and fun. I don't know, 31 in Anchorage right now. So, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. All right, today on Firearms Friday, we've got a bunch of stories to talk about here in hour one. And then in hour two, we're going to be joined finally by Top Shot Chris Cheng, champion of the History Channel show Top Shot, season 4 champion. He's going to be with us in hour two, and we'll hang out with him, and we'll be chatting with him about kind of whatever we want to talk about, and we'll see what's on his mind these days. We might get a chance to chat a little bit more about his book, which I know he's finishing it up. He is writing a book on the Purple Heart Brigade from World War II, and so we'll get some details from him on that as well, and we'll see what it looks like. And then, of course, as always, we will finish it up with our friend Willie Waffle from wafflemovies.com. Can't end a week without Willie Waffle, it seems like. Although next week we will be ending the week without Willie Waffle because we'll be sleeping off the turkey coma on Friday. That's what'll be happening. While the rest of the world goes out to do madness Black Friday shopping, then that's who quick sidebar. Who still does the Black Friday shopping thing? You know what I mean? Where you get up at 4:00 in the morning and you go sit there and you wait for the doors to open to get you. Does anybody? I got to say, I've never done that. Never, not in a million years have I gotten up, at dark 30 to go down and wait for the doors of the store to open so that I can get my discount on the one thing that I wanted for I don't know. It's a thing. I mean, everybody think that's a thing. I guess that's where it's at. Okay. Kim's reporting 18 degrees in Fairbanks by the slough there. So 34 in Nikolaevsk. So we're just getting a little bit of it's a warm weather winter right now. Warm and a little snow. I got both my fingers crossed that it doesn't get too deep around here. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. So what are we covering today? Well, we got some interesting stories. I want to talk a little bit about accurate reporting on gun crimes, what they call gun violence. I want to talk a little bit about that. The Brady campaign seems to have a problem with not just firearms now, but less than lethal weapons, although they seem to be a little bit schizophrenic on that. We've got the latest from the post office, and you're like, what is it? Well, it's an interesting development, and we've talked a little bit about it, but we've got a new memo that just came out here a week or so ago, and we'll talk about that as well. Plus, we've got the latest from David Codrea, who writes, of course, for Firearms News and other outlets. And he's taken a look at Thomas Massey and Thomas Massey's Challenger. And there's some politics involved there that you can agree or disagree on. But the President Trump is trying to primary Thomas Massey out of his seat. And so we need to look at Thomas Massey, by the way, one of the most pro Second Amendment Congress critters out there. And so we'll look a little bit at that as well. And what was we might take a look at the SCOTUS cases that are potentially coming up this year as well. And so we'll go through that. But I guess we should stop out first things first, because we talked about this here just a little bit ago. The fact that Glock, the gun manufacturer, the Austrian gun manufacturer, had basically discontinued all of its current models of firearms and had rolled out a brand new model called the Model V. Now, there was a lot of speculation from the gun community when this was announced that Glock had basically stopped manufacturing all their older models and everything else, and came out with this new model. And it had to do with the fact that the Glock was facing some serious pressure from a variety of sources over the fact that criminals, yes, criminals, had decided to take take their design and then modify them illegally, criminals and illegally, with what are called full auto switches, which is it's a piece of metal or mechanism that allows the Glock pistol to fire more than one round with a single pull of the trigger. And in fact, it turned them into full auto little burp guns, right? And what's happened is that over the last 5 or 6 years, they've been finding more and more criminals who have had these firearms with these switches. They call them switches, but you can't switch them on and off. They're usually just it is or it isn't. Anyway, they found more and more of these. And so instead of prosecuting the criminals more or putting them in jail for more or do anything else, they want to blame Glock for the fact that Glock has made it so easy. This is the supposition. So easy to turn their guns into full auto guns, and now they want to blame Glock and they're lawsuits in Illinois and everything else. So finally, Glock had enough. They resisted. They got some lawsuits thrown at them, and they saw their products were being banned in some states. So they finally bent the knee, right? They finally said, okay, all right, we'll discontinue all of our previous models and we'll put out this new Model V, which is which was supposed to be designed to make it more difficult to outfit it with an aftermarket full auto switch. That's the thing. Now, of course, this only happened within the last 60 days. This all started to come down and come out, and it just every time I see it, it just reminds me of the old Firefly movie Serenity, where they're just like, you can't stop the signal, right? Or the Jurassic Park. I don't know why I'm thinking about all the cinema stuff, but the Jurassic Park, the original one where they're like, life will find a way. Oh, these are supposed to be sterile. They weren't supposed to be able to. Life will find a way. So after a mere, whatever it's been, 60 days, it was just a matter of time before somebody figured out this new model and figured out how to modify it. And lo and behold, now there's a Reddit post, and it is Reddit, which is Reddit is the Skid Row of the internet as far as that goes, but it's not always a trustworthy source. But there's been at least one or more pictures depicting the brand new Model 5 with the Reddit poster claiming to have successfully installed a full auto Glock switch in a Model 5. Now, the poster on Reddit claims to have all the necessary permits, the SOT, which is the special occupational tax from the ATF. He's a manufacturer, supposedly, to be able to do this. Although, if you're going to post on Reddit and push something like this, you damn well better have the right stuff. If you are not, if you want to remain anonymous, you don't want the guys showing up on your doorstep at Odark 30 to shoot your dog and take you away in chains. Anyway, so it looks like from all this, the end all, the be all, and everything else, Glock bent the knee, and it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Somebody is always going to find a way. Isn't that crazy? That's what's going on out there. That Glock has spent however many millions of dollars retooling, stopping the sale of what has been, probably some of the most prolific and popular firearms in the country, redesigning them, revamping, retooling, doing all that stuff. And in a matter of just a few short weeks, some yahoo in his garage figured out how to put all this stuff together, and and bingo bambo, here you go. You just can't stop the signal. You just and I think this is what anti-gunners really fear. And again, I'm not advocating to go out and a full auto Glock is, whatever. It doesn't make any sense to me to have one or to make one or do whatever. I mean, besides the fact, the danger of breaking all those federal laws and everything else, but people are going to do what people are going to do. And with technology and everything else, you can't slow it down. But what they really fear is, again, the lack of control, right? They can't control it. I mean, it's the whole debate over the homemade guns, the 3D printed guns and the gun makers match and the FGC9 and all these other things out there. They're just terrified that they're not going to be able to have control. And here's the bottom line is, you're not going to be able to. I mean, criminals for millennia have broken the law. And eventually, when things become widespread and technology becomes available, there'll be more and more people who, when they find a law that they believe is either illegitimate or just stupid, they'll do it anyway. They'll do, again, when guns were outlawed, only outlaws will have guns. That doesn't mean only bad guys and criminals. An outlaw is not necessarily a criminal. It's somebody who's outside the law. I mean, it just means that people will, do it and shut up about it. Right? That's what it means. But I think that's what the powers that be and the business as usual crowd and all the pro big government is the solution people are afraid of. Is that people, they're basically afraid that people can't be controlled. And the answer is they can't. They can't. I mean, this whole societal thing is an agreement between you and me and everybody else. And when the government goes beyond where they should, that agreement starts to break down. And I think that's what you're seeing here. That's what you're seeing. But it didn't take long. I mean, this like I said, 6-8 weeks since Glock announced this, and the new Model Vs are out there, and boom, here you go. First time ever. Here it is. All that nonsense for nothing. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's get into some other stories here. We got more coming up. Don't go anywhere. It is the Michael Duke Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska and around the world. We'll return with more firearms news and discussion right after this on Firearms Friday.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes on Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Oh God. Hold on. Just a second. Lord. How did that happen? 1, 2, 3.5. 1, 2, 3.5. Okay. I got, yeah. Okay. There we go. Oh, right there. Yep. Okay. Sorry. I got, you know how sometimes things just didn't work out quite like you expected? Yeah, that's where I was at. 1, 2, 3.5. Okay. All right. Remind me to check the rest of it here. How are you guys doing? How's life in the tundra out there, man? Things feeling pretty good? I would think so. It's a beautiful day. This snow, I don't know what to do about this snow, man. I just don't know what to do about the snow. As much as I love a white Christmas, I do not want 12 feet of snow for my white Christmas. I'm just not interested in that. That is 100% for certain right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Aren't you supposed to say testing? 1, 2, 3. Is this thing on? No, I know it's on. It's just there was something else I was working on up there. Willie says he's still got to put the plow on the four-wheeler. Yeah. All right. Going through here. Good morning. Brian says more difficult but not impossible. That's what Glock said. To make it more difficult but not impossible. That's exactly. Almost as if it was challenge accepted. Yeah. I'm the Bill, Reddit, the mad magazine of the internet. You're not too far off. Anthony says, I'll just say what I've been saying for years. Given any amount of control over the 2A to the very institution it was enshrined to protect you from is pure madness. Any regulation or rule is an infringement, full stop. Yep. 100%. All right. Good morning, Bill. Bill's out there doing the snow dance. Gonna break your legs, Bill. If it's not, yeah. Snowing on Greer Road right now, says Greg. Yeah, well, we'll see where that goes. Also got a quick update. Anthony says, got the pistol broken in, and I'm happy to report the 10mm EDC bug out bag is slapping. He got a carbine pistol combo thing going on. That's pretty amazing little setup, pretty amazing little piece of kit, and enjoying the heck out of it. So there you go. All right. Oh, man. Gotta say, what a day. It's Friday already. We're Thanksgiving next week, and then Christmas is right around the corner. The year just, bam, gone. One full year of being in the broadcasting business under the belt. How does that, man. I just don't even know what to say, man. I don't even know what to say about that. All right. Well, what should we talk about, guys? I got a bunch of should we talk about the Thomas Massey thing? Or should we talk about the new director for the ATF? The new director that's coming in for the ATF. Or how the Brady bunch has a problem with less than lethal weapons. What do you guys think? Help me decide here. I don't know which way to go. I got stuff to talk about, but we'll see. You guys, we'll see where you guys are at. All right. I'm just feeling laid back today. Totally laid back. Ready to go. Let's dive into it. Come on. Where's my... Oh, there it is. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense. Liberty Base. Free thinking radio. And we will do it. Let's... Kim's got an opinion. Kim's got an opinion on Thomas Massey. Based alert. Here we go. Let's do it.
What the hell's an assault weapon? What isn't? If I assault you with a penguin, doesn't that make it an assault weapon? Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
Okay, I just told the guys and gals in the chat room that, help me what story should I go to next? And they're also all over the place. So let's start off with the good news. The good news is that we're getting more on this memo. We're getting more on this situation with the USPS, the United States Postal Service. There's a leaked memo that came out. It was confirmed authentic. And basically, in October, the prohibitions on firearm possession and carry on USPS properties was ruled unconstitutional. Now the big news on that is that you need to be a member of the Firearms Policy Coalition or the Second Amendment Foundation for it to be able to apply to you, which is a pretty easy. You can go right now and just for $5, I think you can get become a member of the FPC. That's a pretty easy thing. Or you can do, it's easy, right? But the court cases were pushed forward by FPC and the SAF, and you can get a membership card. And essentially what it says is that the prohibition on firearms on USPS property is unconstitutional, meaning you no longer have to disarm yourself when you go to step into a post office to check your mail, which was always a pain, right? It's always a pain because if you want to comply with the law, you want to make sure nobody gets sideways. Now, I mean, of course, the argument has always been if it's concealed, it's concealed. Who's to know? Blah, blah, blah. But, if you want to follow the letter of the law, it was always difficult. Well, now it's been ruled by a federal judge as unconstitutional. The opinion said of the law that it is unconstitutional under the Second Amendment with respect to the plaintiff and their members, possession and carry of firearms inside of an ordinary U.S. post office or the surrounding post office property. So how the USPS was going to be handling potential carriers had not been publicly known. But there was a leaked internal memo, and it contains instructions, and the Postal Service then confirmed the authenticity of that memo later on to folks, John Petrolino over at Bearing Arms. The post, so when they were contacted about it, a public relations specialist spoke on behalf of the USPS and said the Postal Service is aware of the recent decision by the U.S. District Court of the Northern District of Texas regarding the ban on firearms possession on postal property, which enjoins enforcement of the ban at certain post offices and the surrounding post office property with respect to certain postal customers. They are currently analyzing the court's decisions and taking necessary steps to implement the injunction. So on Reddit again, Reddit, man, gotta love it. The alleged postal clerk leaked an internal document dated October the 24th of this year, and it stated the following. A federal court order permits certain postal customers to carry and possess firearms in most post offices, including in customer parking lots. In response to that decision, and while we work to clarify the precise scope of the court's order, we are providing the following guidance to all of our retail employees at all Postal Service retail facilities regarding all of our customers at those facilities. Because of this decision, there may be instances in which members of the public who are visiting Postal Service's retail facilities to pick up their mail or conduct a retail transaction will be carrying firearms. Postal... I scared myself. They may be carrying firearms. Postal Service employees are directed to refrain from confronting or engaging with a customer about the fact that they are carrying a firearm. Postal Service employees should allow the customer to conduct their business in the same manner as other customers. Once the customer leaves, immediately report the matter to your supervisor or manager. Management employees should immediately call the Inspection Service hotline, and the Inspection Service will determine whether the ban on firearms possession can be lawfully be enforced under the circumstances and whether further action is justified. Calls to law enforcement, 911, should only be made if the person is interfering with operations or acting in a manner that raises immediate safety or concerns. By the way, the court's decision does not affect the ban on firearms possessed by Postal Service employees on postal property, which remains fully in place. So you're still disarmed, even though members of the public aren't. You're still disarmed. Thank you for your attention. And so, again, that's good news for all of you guys who have been dutifully, ungunning yourself as you go into the post office to check your mail. But again, I will remind you that of all this stuff that is in this memo and everything else, concealed means exactly that, folks. This should never raise an eyebrow with anybody, because once you're a member of SAF or FPC, Second Amendment Foundation of the Firearms Policy Coalition, and you're carrying concealed, there's no reason that anybody should know. Anybody. That's the thing. I mean, it's great news. It's great news. And like I said, if you haven't jumped over to like FPC's website, you can do so right now. And I think their lowest membership thing is $5. And it's money well spent. FPC does a lot of good work out there. So there you go. So that's the new memo, and they're sticking to it. Let's talk for a second here about the where are we at here time wise? I want to talk for just a second about the president pushing for the replacement of Thomas Massie. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm a huge Thomas Massie fan. And I think Thomas Massie in the House of Representatives, in the Congress, plays a tremendous counterpoint to some of the populism that President Trump can engender in certain folks. Thomas Massie is not afraid. And, Trump has done some great things, but Trump is also a bully. Right. And maybe you guys will be mad at me for saying that, but it's the truth. That's just how he operates. If somebody doesn't go along with him, it's attack. Right. I mean, whether he's, it becomes a point of pride. Thomas Massie is a very principled guy. He's a libertarian who takes a stance on smaller, more limited government, of which Trump is not. I mean, there's been a lot of big government stuff that's gone on under Trump that, we should all be concerned about. I'm not saying that he was not the best choice of the two that we had there ahead of us, but he, Thomas Massie takes a stand on that. And because he's done that, the president has made it his mission to primary Massie, to get him out of the House of Representatives by offering up an alternative in the upcoming primary. So his choice is a retired Navy SEAL, a farmer, and a businessman named Ed Galrain. Galrain, whatever. So David Codrea over at bearingarms.com or over at firearmsnews.com has reached out to, because Thomas Massie is a favorite topic for Codrea, and he reached out to Galrain to see what he had to say about a variety of Second Amendment issues. But the major question is, where did Galrain stand on the Second Amendment as a whole? Because Thomas Massie is one of the most pro Second Amendment guys out there. He's an absolutist. He is an absolutist. He believes that, he created and proposed the national constitutional carry because he didn't like the national reciprocity. He didn't like that. He goes, why should we have to ask the government's permission? Why should we have to have a permit to be able to carry in every state? He said he proposed national constitutional carry. He's an absolutist. So how does this Ed Galrain factor in? So David Codrea reached out, and there was a ton of questions. Are you a gun owner? If so, how long? What types of firearms do you own? Are you a member of a gun group? Why did the framers include the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights? He asked about Brune. Can you give us some examples of constitutional law? And he has some very deep questions. And I'll post a link up to this story in the chat room, so folks want to go over there and take a look at it. And you can see what's going on. But basically, this was his response to Thomas Massie and to David Codrea. And Codrea said, thank you. It took him 2 weeks to get the response back. And so he said, it was grateful. But here's his response. My view, the Second Amendment is straightforward. The Second Amendment is absolute and non-negotiable. It must be proactively protected from infringement. Throughout the last several years, we've seen partisan activist judges attempt to water down or even make the Second Amendment obsolete. We have a duty as a citizenry in a country to ensure that never happens. President Trump has done an excellent job of highlighting these kind of radical judges to curb their influence and power. Congress must take a proactive step by passing laws that protect and shield the second from these rogue judicial actions. Despite having the toughest and most radical gun control laws in the country, many of our major liberal cities continue seeing spikes in crime. I support a nationwide recognition and reciprocity of concealed carry between states and jurisdictions. I also support trained and qualified designated staff in our schools being able to use a firearm to stop attacks and protect our students and staff. Now, he goes on also to list all of his firearms collection, and that he's a lifetime member of the NRA as well as an NRA instructor and everything else. But there was a lot of these questions that weren't answered in this. There was a lot of questions about gun-free zones, about what role Congress should play, about the Brune decision, and many other. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he may not believe in those things, because there was a lot of deep questions there. But maybe he hasn't formulated his takeaway on this yet. I don't know. But we do know that Massey is an absolutist. Now, we have here in Alaska, we've got no pull on this, but I just got to say that I find it kind of childish that, well, no, that's not right. That's not fair, because Massey is kind of a thorn in the president's side over some issues. And I would argue that that's a good thing. I would argue that that keeps the president on his toes. Maybe he should be considering things that he hadn't considered before. And that I think that we should keep Thomas Massey around. You just go out there and Google. You go out there and Google the swamp, Thomas Massey, the swamp, and watch that video. It's like a 12-minute video on how the insider politics works in Washington. And just tell me you don't walk away with just, like, wow. And yeah, go out to YouTube, watch Thomas Massey. He's got a ton of videos out there. This is an important thing. I think if we lost Thomas Massey, we would lose a strong warrior for the Second Amendment in the Congress. But that's just me. Your mileage may vary on this. And by the way, the president is, he wants to put his people in, but he's still got some issues with his own. The president needs to clean up his own house in some of these issues. He's doing good in the Second Amendment, but he's not doing great. Because we're seeing his DOJ and his ATF still railroad people like there's no tomorrow. And we'll talk about that here in a minute when we talk about the new ATF pick. You just go check that out. We're going to be back. We got to go. So we're going to continue here in a minute. Don't go. We'll be back. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll return in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Back with more right after this.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay. Let's go over here because people go postal, said Lisa. You had that happen like once a long time ago, maybe twice a long time ago. And you can't just strip people's constitutional rights away, Lisa, because somebody does something wrong. That's the problem. David says, if it's unconstitutional for a certain group of people, it's unconstitutional for all people. Yeah, but there's this thing called legal standing. And so while they continue to decide it, this is a temporary injunction while it may be appealed to a higher court. And so then the only people who are participating in the injunction are people who are members of the group. So that's what that's about, David. I agree. It's unconstitutional, but we'll you know, we'll see what happens from there. I went from 4 to you only get 1 a year next to our okay. I've been listening to, sorry, I'm scrolling backwards here to see what the question was about. How many years or what? Okay. I don't know. Okay. We only get a year next to our name. I went to a 4, to a hand wave, and now 1. Maybe after 6 years we start. Oh, maybe this is the listening thing on the doohickeys, the little icons on the side of your name in Facebook. Yeah, I don't know how that works. I don't control any of that part. That's all like back end Facebook stuff. Post offices install new metal detectors at the entrance door. Oh, that would be a nightmare. With stuff that gets shipped in and out, and metal and everything in your pocket, and pocket knives and everything else. Yeah, good luck with that. Thomas Massey on YouTube. Holy cow, lots of videos, says Rick. Yeah, there's a ton of videos out there. And again, most of them are great. Go watch The Swamp. Just Google The Swamp and Thomas Massey, and you watch that video and tell me that we're not doomed, man, that there's not some busted stuff going on in there. Crazy. All it takes, says Lisa, is 1 or 2 incidents and it becomes a law. Right. With the what we were just talking about with the going postal, right? And that's where all that came from, was that a postal employee went wackadoo and brought a gun in and started shooting things up. But again, you can't strip the constitutional rights of every American away because of the actions of a very few. They do that, and then it gets challenged and then it gets overturned. But it is, what about the ability to stop people like that? It's how do you protect yourself? Because again, criminals are going to break the law anyway, right? I mean, how many times has somebody gone into a gun-free zone like a school or a mall or something like that and shot up a bunch of people? It makes no sense. But that's the world we live in. We live in the upside down in that regard. So anyway, I'm not a huge fan of that kind of stuff for sure. What else we got here? What was the other thing? Oh, I want to talk about that. Let's see if we got enough time. I don't think we're gonna have enough time for everything here, because we're gonna be jumping into it with Chris Cheng, I think, pretty close to the top of the hour. How does Rep. Massey feel about Trump's proposal to send out big tariff dividends check to many American citizens? I'm against it. I will send it back if I get one. We have a $37 trillion. I would say Massey is against it. I haven't seen him specifically come out, but I would say that he's probably against it. As you said, 37 trillion in debt. It doesn't help anything. This tariff dividend. What does that even mean? How is that helping at all? Right? I'm with you on that. What was that? I think she went into the she were treated at the airport. Lisa was treated poorly at an airport. She said they tried to take my son's seizure meds, said it was bomb materials. I was treated like a criminal. Yeah. Well, I mean, you wonder why I get so grumpy when I travel. I mean, yeah, you wonder why I get so grumpy when I travel. It's because you have to go through the things, and it's just demeaning and irritating, right? I walk through the scanner, and every time there's always something they got to check. They've always got to give me the rub down in the, you know what I mean? I'm going to touch your inner thigh now. Is that okay? No, not really. But I guess you got the gun, so do what you're going to do. Right? I mean, every time, man, every time. Here we go.
What the hell is an assault weapon? Does that mean that if we hurt your feelings, you should consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can accept that. Here's Michael Dukes. Kind of a dick, but somewhat funny.
Okay. Sorry. We got sidebarred in the chat room talking about crazy, stupid government stuff. Like, going through TSA checkpoints and everything. It's crazy. One final segment here before we hit the top of the hour. Chris Cheng, I think, is going to join us right near the top of the hour, so we'll have a full maybe 2 segments with him in hour 2. But I wanted to talk about this real quick. The president has picked a new director for the ATF. Now, this has been good so far. There's been a lot of praise for the deputy director, Robert Cicada. I'm going to say it's Cicada, although it's Cicadas. Anyway, Cicada. I'm just going to say Cicada. He's gotten the nod this on Wednesday, and gun rights groups are pretty excited about this. They're pretty pleased that this guy got the nod as the ATF director, because they're saying that he is, quote, the first ever truly pro Second Amendment, quote, to lead the unquote to lead the agency. Second Amendment choice. Now this is great, and I'm glad that maybe we'll have somebody who's slightly friendly to the Second Amendment to be part of this. When he was initially named the deputy director back in April, he received high praise from the CCRKBA, from the Second Amendment Foundation, and everything else, that this was the guy. That's great. I mean, it would do better, but unfortunately, I mean, so that's good. I support this. I support Cicada being agency head. I mean, come on. We had Steve Dettelbach in there for a while. Come on, that anything would be an improvement at this point. But the ATF has a long history of crossing the line with law-abiding citizens. A long history. And the most recent one, unfortunately, is taking place under the Trump administration's regime. And this is one that's starting to make me question whether or not, how strident has the president been? How strident has Pam Bondi been in trying to rein in the behavior of the Department of Justice, including the ATF, which falls under the DOJ? How good of a job have they really done in reining in some of this wild behavior? Case in point, Tate Adamiak. Tate Adamiak, and this is a story that is most recently just come out. It happened this year. Tate Adamiak is a Navy sailor who was in the track to become a Navy SEAL officer, who had a side business buying and selling and trading military gear and non-serialized gun parts on a website. He started out as a collector, as a kid, collecting pieces and parts. He had a lot of memorabilia. He had a lot of replica firearms, non-firing replica firearms. He sold pieces and parts. He was one of Gunbroker's top 500 dealers, but he did not sell guns. He sold accessories and parts and all this other kind of stuff. He enlisted in the Navy when he was 17, became an E6 Master at Arms. He's got a bachelor's degree, was working on his master's degree. He was on track to have an officer's commission with the Naval Special Warfare Unit. But in 2016, he was contacted by another dealer who had a similar interest and owns a military surplus museum. Tate's initial thing that he wanted to create a museum. That was one of his lifelong dreams, was to create a military museum with a bunch of replicas and everything else. So he started working with other dealers and putting together and buying pieces and parts and everything else. Not a dealer himself, not an FFL, didn't have all of his own guns were his personal guns. Everything else was a replica or just pieces and parts. So a confidential informant for the ATF brought Adamiak's freedom to an end because the ATF was trying to have him work his own. The confidential informant was trying to work his own charges off. This guy used to own a machine gun shop. The ATF raided his house, found a gun, and charged him with a felon in possession. So they turned him as a confidential informant. So this guy kept coming back to Adamiak, asking him for a machine gun, which he never got. He said he never got. He told him several times, I never sold a single item that qualifies as a firearm or required an FFL. I only sold non-regulated gun parts. While dropping off stuff at Adamiak's house, the confidential informant saw a replica grenade launcher and a replica belt-fed machine gun. They were both replicas. He asked Adamiak if he had an SOT, a Class 3 FFL, and he said, no, they're replicas. That was the end of the conversation. But the ATF was all aflame about this. They thought this guy was doing illegal stuff. And so they chased him down for several years and kept trying to get him in. They kept having confidential different informants try and get machine gun parts and sales, trying to get them to, bend a Mac 10 flat for them to turn it into a machine gun. He did finally agree to broker the purchase of a PSH 41, which is an old Russian World War II machine gun, a barrel shroud, not the gun, just the shroud for a client. The part does not qualify as a firearm. Then the ATF lied about it and said, well, this is how they got the search warrant for his house. They said the barrel shroud was a machine gun. That's how they got it qualified. More than 40 federal agents and police raided his home. They turned it upside down. They seized 35 replica firearms and parts from his personal collection and labeled them all as suspected machine guns. And this story just goes on and on, folks. The story goes on and on and on. And this is under the kinder and gentler ATF. This guy's in prison now, by the way. 20 years in prison for never having sold a single firearm. They lied. They lied about it. They convinced the judge. They convinced the... I mean, I can be as happy as I can be that they're going to put some pro-gun guy into the ATF, but the problem is the ATF. I'm going to drop a link to this story from the Second Amendment Foundation. You can read it for yourself. We got more coming up in just a moment. Chris Cheng, Hour 2, The Michael Duke Show. Okay. Yeah, this story is infuriating. I could probably do a full hour on this story alone because this thing is just maddening. I mean, they lied. They repeatedly lied. And you can go read this story for yourself and tell me whether or not you think you're all excited about, a new pick for the ATF that's going to make a difference. All right. It is scary. It's absolutely scary. Lisa just said that's scary. But this is how it works. Right? They throw everything in the world at you. And they lied to the judge. They lied to get the warrant. They lied once the warrant was there. His replica grenade launcher, totally inoperable. They took it back to the firearms branch and they essentially inserted a bolt action rifle action into it and fired a round through it and said that made it a destructive device. I mean, this is the thing. William says that's some dirty pool, but it fits the federal government's MO. Find the person, create the crime. Exactly. That's the point. I mean, guys, I hate to tell you this, but government is not your friend. You know, in case you were wondering, government is not your friend. All right. Whoa, what did I just do there? Let me fix that. Okay. Push the wrong button. All right. So what's the plan for this weekend, guys? What are you guys all doing? I want to know. Hit me with what you guys have got going on for the weekend. I have a feeling that I'm probably going to be shoveling some snow this weekend. That's a sad state of affairs, but I have the feeling that if this continues to go the way it is, I think that's going to be exactly what I'm going to be facing, is a little bit of that snow shoveling stuff for sure. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to clean up the next hour. Oh, come on. Why do you do that? Yeah, delete it. There we go. Delete that too. Yes, do it. 3:30. Okay. Catching up on paperwork and stripping down wallpaper. Good Lord, Brian. You really know how to live. I bet you're exciting at parties. Right? I mean, I bet you are exciting at parties. He's like, yeah, it's gonna be great. Oh man, that just sounds like a ton of fun. A ton of fun. How do you get ready to snow shovel? Says Frank. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe do you do a warm up? Renee's going to be putting up more lights. That sounds like a lot more fun than what Brian is doing. That's the thing. William says, plan for the weekend, working at the only grocery store in town, finish writing up character models for my new book idea. Good deal, brother. Good deal. I hope it's a good book. I hope you're inspired. Absolutely. All right. Putting up more lights. That's good. All right. That's it. You know what? I plan on cleaning the house, getting things up. We're putting up some Christmas decorations early. My son is coming down to visit for Thanksgiving, so we want to have a little Christmassy feel to it here because he may not be able to make it back for Christmas. So we're going to try and do a Thanksgiving / Christmas themed Thanksgiving. I got the brand new turkey. I got the fresh turkey. It's going to be fun. 3-generation family movie night, sleepover, and family Thanksgiving tomorrow. Oh, wow. You guys are doing it a week early. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do for Thanksgiving. You know, we always kind of hang out and have fun for Thanksgiving. What do you guys do? Well, this will be for next week. We're going to talk about this next week. I'm just going to have some fun next week. We've got Brad and we've got Chris on Tuesday, but on Wednesday especially, and maybe on Monday, I haven't decided yet, but on Wednesday, we're going to do some traditions. We're just going to open up the phone lines. We're going to have people talk about what they do for Thanksgiving. Do you watch football? Do you watch movies? Do you hang out and, paint your toenails? What do you do with your family members at Thanksgiving? And what's your favorite recipes? Somebody asked earlier that they said that they wanted to get the bourbon ham recipe, which we'll be giving out as well. We'll be giving that out later in the month here. All right, my friends, let's get to it. Here we go. The Michael Dukes Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
Whoa, buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
Take my rifle, this is my gun. This is for fighting, it's for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday, your chance to sound off on issues of a 2A nature right here on the Michael Dukes Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this yo favorite radio station and or FM translator. Hello, friends. How are you doing for this bright and beautiful Friday? 36 degrees outside the old hacienda here on top of the world in Homer, Alaska. What was it? It was 34 at the airport in Kenai, 31 in Anchorage. It was even getting up close to the freezing point up in Fairbanks. It's pretty warm up there. Now there is some weather advisories that I'll tell you about, just because I think that that's important for folks to know in the mornings as they're traveling around. In Fairbanks, there's a winter weather advisory. They're expecting snow, accumulation between 3 and 5 inches of snow in the Chattanooga River, Upper Chena River, and more from 3 p.m. this afternoon through noon on Sunday. Travel could be difficult, and the hazardous conditions could impact the commute this evening. Down here on the Kenai, oh, baby, winter weather advisory, snow expected, total accumulation of 4 to 10 inches. Wind gusts across in the southern Ketchimack Bay, wind gusts as high as 35 miles per hour. So you folks over there in Seldovia may want to batten down the hatches a little bit. The southwestern Kenai Peninsula and southern Ketchimack Bay, this is all going on until 6 a.m. tomorrow. Travel could be very difficult. The hazardous conditions could impact the Friday morning and evening commutes. Expect icy conditions to develop throughout the day. I mean, it's 36 degrees right now. Yes, icy conditions. As the roadways freeze and snow accumulates, a gradual cooling air mass will transition to heavy, wet snow this morning. The highest accumulations expected along higher elevations such as Gulp, Diamond Ridge, that's where I'm at, Nikolaevsk, and along Jackaloff Bay Road in southern Ketchimack Bay. Jackaloff Bay Road down there in Seldovia. So, yeah, there's going to be some up to 10 inches of snow. Oh, I'd say so many great things about living in Homer, but that unexpected snowfall. I told the story last week earlier last hour about last year. I was here a year ago, and the snow had mostly melted. It was November. There was still some snow in the yard, but it had been pretty warm. And I walked outside one morning right before the show to let the dog out, and there was a little half inch of snow maybe. I'm like, oh, it's going to snow today. Yeah, that'll be cool. It'll snow. And then I went back inside, did the show, worked in the studio, came back out, 6 hours later, and there was 20-something inches of snow on the porch. And in that days, it snowed like 33, 34 inches over 36 hours. I was running a snowblower for 4 hours that next day just to get out. So, I mean, lots of pluses down here, but that was the one that got my attention. So anyway, pay close attention, weather advisories everywhere and everything, but it's going to be a great weekend. So enjoy yourself as you go out there. Hour 2 of the big show, Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion from season 4 of the show Top Shot on the History Channel, is joining us this morning. And we're going to get a chance to talk about whatever the heck we want to talk about. Why? Because we're adults, or so it's been rumored. I'm not sure. Look at him drinking his coffee, got his hair up. The hair, dude, the hair is looking good, man. The hair,
Thank you. Yeah, it's 2025 has been a year of testing out a different hairstyle. So
testing out your different hair. It's a good look. This is a good look. I don't think you're coming through your microphone. I think you're coming through your webcam mic there, brother.
Right, well, thank you.
Yeah, he'll fix that here for just a second. If you haven't seen Chris, in the past, Chris is, of course, the champion of season 4 of the show Top Shot that was on the History Channel, competing against some of the best and brightest in military and law enforcement. And Chris was the underdog, the big surprise, the civilian who came out of nowhere to win the season. He went on to write the book Shoot to Win, which is a beginner's guide to firearms ownership and targeting and shooting. And of course, became a spokesperson for the National Shooting Sports Foundation and more. And now he's just kind of a luminary in the circles of firearms shooting. So how you been, my friend? We've been missing like ships in the night the last couple of weeks.
I know. Between just a lot of holiday travel and work travel.
Yeah.
But no, I'm very good. I'm working through my manuscript still for my World War II novel on the Purple Heart Battalion. Right. It is a battalion of Japanese Americans who volunteered for the U.S. Army out of the incarceration camps. And it's one of these untold stories of World War II and the heroism and the valor and the incredible battles and sacrifice that these men made during World War II, during a time, when we were not just fighting, the Nazis and the Japanese. These Americans of Japanese descent, decided to fight for the country that hated them.
Right. No, it was. I'm really looking forward to the story of this because, again, and we've seen that in the past. Whether it's Buffalo Soldiers or the Purple Heart Brigade or whatever, people who were, wildly patriotic, wanted to fight for their country. They were maligned because of their skin color or their race, but they still went out there and did their duty. And this is a story that I'm really looking forward to reading. You were in Europe doing some research over there and doing some stuff over there.
Yeah, visiting the battle sites, meeting the family members of these Purple Heart Battalion veterans, and just really getting a sense of the place and the setting where these epic battles took place. And one thing I'm really excited about the Purple Heart Battalion is this is a war novel. And what that means is there's going to be all the weapons of World War II involved. And for me, that's obviously one of my specialties is all of the guns and the weaponry. And I've shot a lot of World War II weaponry, and so I can speak firsthand to what does it feel like to shoot an M1 Garand? What is the weight like? Right, what is that iconic ping of the clip flying out?
I love that.
Like. And what does that do, to both the soldier and to the enemy? When you hear that ping, it's like, well, you're out of ammo, which can be a plus, but also a negative because now the bad guy hears when you're out of ammo. So anyway, bringing my weapons knowledge, I really want to bring these battles, these World War II battles in Italy and in France. I want to bring them to life, right? Not just through really compelling characters and telling the stories of these Japanese Americans, but also through the weapons, right? Through the ugly parts of war, and to also shine the light on the human element of World War II, right? And we were ultimately fighting, right, not just for American values of freedom and liberty, but we were there to defeat the Nazis, right, who were trying to take over all of Europe and to free the Jews, right, who were being exterminated in these concentration camps. And it was just World War II, as we all know, was just an incredible moment in world history where the world came together and freedom prevailed. And this is the Purple Heart Battalion, again, is one of these untold stories of World War II, and I'm very excited to bring this novel to bookshelves. Hopefully 2026. The next step is to get an agent and to get a publisher. So, and there's a lot of there's a lot of other steps, in between then. But I'm optimistic and I'm very hopeful.
Now, is the story, is it historical? Is it historical fiction?
Historical fiction. So based on true stories. All the wars and the battles are all true. It's just the characters, and many of the characters are actually real based on real. Well, they're all based on real life people, but some of the characters are real. And then, but the main protagonist, he's fictionalized. I kind of threw some personal kind of details, like he's a baseball player. I was a basebal player when I was younger.
You write what you know, right? You write what you know.
Yeah, exactly. He's a UC Berkeley student. I went to UCLA, so not quite 1-to-1, but it's very fun. Being creative, writing the Purple Heart Battalion. And the fictional account just made it so fun to provide some latitude and some flexibility with creating these characters and making them really just it's a page turner, right? If you like World War II novels, and this is a war novel, right? So if you like that style of book, then the Purple Heart Battalion will be a great read for you.
Well, I can't wait to get an ARC advanced reader copy. I can't wait to get an advanced reader copy of this to help you beta read it or whatever. This would be an amazing thing. And of course, when it does come out, we'll be lined up to slap our money down there on the counter. Have you considered, and I'm just asking because I have a friend who's a professional author, and he's got a big publisher, but he's been talking about, he's been making comments about, boy, if I had to do it all over again, I might just self-publish instead. Have you considered that, or are you looking for a big publishing house?
I think I'm looking for a big publisher to start. Self-publishing is on the table. But yeah, I don't know. My first book, Shoot to Win, I got very lucky. And I thought it was going to be a long, drawn out process of, maybe I need to write the manuscript first and then go hunt for a publisher. But in my very first meeting, this was immediately after my Top Shot win. Also, I met with the publisher, and I thought I was going to have to, submit a 2-page proposal. And right on the spot in this meeting, they said, "Yes, Chris, we want to publish Shoot to Win. So giddy up, start writing." And I had a contract in my inbox like by the end of the week. I was like, "Wow, this was like beyond easy." Right, but with the Purple Heart Battalion, very different genre. It's going to be my first novel. I wanted to write this story no matter what. So I decided to write the manuscript and kind of do it in the opposite order, right? I'm going to write the manuscript first, and I'm done with the manuscript, which I'm really, really happy with where it's at. Of course, once I get a publisher, maybe it'll go through some more edits and revisions. But if I were to die today, I would be totally satisfied and very, very proud of where the manuscript is today. And I can't wait to share the story of the Purple Heart Battalion with everybody.
That'd be great. I can't wait to see more. And like you said, to see that on the shelves. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, season 4 of the show Top Shot, author of the book Shoot to Win. He's going to continue with us here in a minute. We're coming up on the break. Let's get to it. We'll be back with more. And Chris Cheng right after this, The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Happy Firearms Friday, my friends.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay, we're in the break right now. Chris Cheng, our guest. We're continuing on. I wanted to check. We'll talk about the whole Glock thing here in a second, Chris, because I had it. Did you see the post on Reddit? Did you see the whole thing on Reddit about?
No, not yet, but I'm gonna have to go check that out.
I covered the story earlier this morning. I mean, what has it been? 6-8 weeks since Glock made the announcement, and already there was an SOT that posted to Reddit to say,
I did see the video. I haven't seen the Reddit thread, but I've already seen the video.
Like, okay, so what did that accomplish? You know what I mean? Anyway, we'll talk about that here in a second. I wanted to check in on you health wise. How you feeling, my friend? I know you've been working on some of that lead absorption stuff, and you've been working through that. How's your health going? If you feel
thanks for asking. Yeah, so between heavy metals, long COVID, basically, I have like chronic inflammation that's just causing all sorts of just crazy, really, really bad symptoms. Things are better. It's anyone who's going through or experiencing long COVID will appreciate. It's just this long haul. It's a slog of your symptoms can change, day to day, week to week. So it can be a little, like you feel like you've conquered the mountain, right? You're like, okay, that part of my body finally feels fine, and you're sort of like, okay, time to move on with life. And the next week you're like, crap, I'm feeling that terrible again to my knee or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and the scary part about this, Michael, is that the traditional medical establishment, they just do not have a good handle on long COVID. They don't know how to diagnose it, let alone treat it. And so I've had to go outside of the traditional medical system to get long COVID treatments. I'm basically seeing an integrative doctor, otherwise known as like a naturopath. And, it's these other doctors right outside of the mainstream medical system that are they're the ones who are asking the right questions. They're the ones who are looking at different treatments, right? That they're running, medical trials and really trying to unlock the key here to long COVID. So, at times the treatments that I'm trying, it feels like throwing darts at a dartboard, right? It's like, not sure if this is going to work, and the doctor's not sure either. But it's like, well, look, Chris, right? These are the options. Hey, do you want to try this? And
it's treatment roulette, right? Spin the wheel. Which one are we going to try this time?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, the challenge is, some of these treatments, there's diminishing returns. So it's unlike a lot of other treatments where you get some prescription and you get to the end of the medicine and you're 100%. Well, with a lot of these long COVID treatments, I only might get to like 70% health, and I keep doing the treatment, and that's it. Like I'm going to top off at 70%. And then I have to go transition to a new treatment to try and get that last 30%. Right. So it's been very complicated, but I'm optimistic that 2026 is going to be my year of getting to 100% health. I'm not there yet, but I think I'm on the path. So fingers crossed. And
all right. Well, we'll keep you in our prayers, because that's
thank you.
It's not a I've had a couple friends that have come down with that long COVID, and it's a no joke situation, for sure. And I mean, I've luckily, knock on wood, I mean, I had COVID for 2 days. That was my one experience with COVID, and I lost my sense of taste and smell.
I remember that.
For 2 weeks, and that was it. That was my COVID experience. So I'm glad I didn't have to deal with it. And so I feel for you, my friend. Definitely not a fun time. All right. Well, we're coming back here. We're about 45 seconds out. And so we're going to jump into the debate. We'll talk about the Glock thing. Anything else hot on your mind that you want to talk about today?
Sorry, this whole Glock debate, man, it just makes me see red.
Yeah.
And like eye rolls, like laughing.
Like how well, they bent the knee, and then it doesn't matter anyway.
And I mean, I know we joke a lot about California, right? And a lot of the silly things that come out here, but right, I mean, California, we really jammed up, right? Blocking a lot of companies here with this law that passed that just
Let's pick it up here. We're going to get to it here. 8 seconds out. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Chris Cheng, our guest. Let's do this thing. Here we go.
What the hell's an assault weapon?
You know, if we could just figure out how to get all of the murder guns and the attack guns and not keep selling those to people and just sell protection guns, I think that would be great and solve a lot of problems.
Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
I got to play that every time for Chris because he just gets the biggest smile. Like once a month, Chris has got to hear his attack guns and murder gun thing. It's
amazing.
It is amazing, isn't it? Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, here with us today, author of the book Shoot to Win. You could find him at topshotchris.com. Chris, we got to talk about this Glock thing because, I mean, it's just so nutty, man. You know, Glock. They tried to push back against the communities, but then they got hit with lawsuits. And, you know, you got criminals who are doing criminal things with legal items, right? That's like me putting a rocket motor into a Ford truck. And then they're going to sue Ford because I was able to put a rocket engine in the back of a Ford truck and kill a bunch of people and myself by running them over. But we're going to go against and file a lawsuit against Ford for making it too easy to mount a rocket motor in the back of the bed of a truck. That's kind of what's going on here with Glock, right? I mean, this thing has been it's been nutty.
It is astounding to see how Glock, I think, they've done the firearms industry a huge disservice by bending the knee, like you mentioned, and capitulating and creating this most unnecessary and ineffective change, right? In the Glock V line. You know, the only reason that the conclusion I've come to is this has to be about money. And specifically, I'm imagining, right, Glock wants to avoid a lawsuit, right? That they want to avoid, you know, having to challenge this California law. But the problem with that is if you just simply game this out, if Glock makes a change, we know that someone's going to be able to modify this and basically either make another Glock switch or do some similar modification. Look, I mean, it's a never ending losing game for Glock, right? If they're going to try and play a game of making physical modifications to try and block a Glock type switch from being put into their guns. I mean, I never say never, of course, but I mean, so what is the next play here? Right, that California could come back and say, well, right, Glock, good try, right? You made some effort, but you're still not compliant. And now Glock is going to have to go back to the drawing board.
This is the problem, is that that you try and comply with something, and we've seen this across the country. This is not strictly a California thing, but we've seen this across the country where a company tries to comply, a new law goes in, so the company makes a new, in this case, California compliant, you know, a rifle or a pistol or something that's California compliant. And so they did. And then they move the goalposts again. Okay, well, that's great, but now we're going to make it this hard. So then it becomes this game of whack-a-mole where you're just like, you know, every time you make a change, they make a change to the law to make it harder. And, you know, at some point, you just got to say, it's not worth it. Like you said, I'm sure Glock is worried about money because they've got, you know, millions of dollars in contracts with police departments and governmental agencies and everything else. And they're worried about lawsuits and those things. But I think this was a bad move because, again, I mean, Chris, what was it? 8 weeks ago that they made the announcement? 6 weeks ago? It wasn't that long ago. And already on Reddit and in other places, we're seeing people have already defeated. It was like challenge accepted. You say we can't put a switch in it. Let us show you how you can do it. And that's part of the problem, is that you can't stop innovation. You can't stop the signal. You can't challenge people to say, well, we just can't. And criminals they're going to criminal. That's what they do. They're going to break the law. How is this going to stop anybody?
Yeah. And it's just opened up a can of worms. And I know other firearms manufacturers, right, are now worried about, right, that, you know, are they, you know, should they be making modifications to their existing, you know, pistol lines? And then the answer is no. All these firearms manufacturers should not be making any changes in response to this California law. I'm sorry, but the cost of doing business is we're going to have to fight the loss, or you're going to have to go into a lawsuit and fight this in the courts, right? And it's unfortunate, but I think no matter what line of business you're in, I mean, it's just the cost of doing business, and it sucks, right? But I think that's just the reality of things, because what is I mean, the other choices here are, to go on the legislative route, which I would love. I mean, I would love to see some kind of pro Second Amendment law that, I don't know, basically forces or makes it so that the Second Amendment is basically, very clear and very strong, right? That gun control basically can't happen.
Don't we have that already? We got the PCLA, right? The Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act. Why? I mean, how are these lawsuits even proceeding? How can they? Glock is selling a legal, lawful, safe product, right? Now, because somebody modifies it or does bad things with it, again, going back to the Ford truck analogy, how can they hold the manufacturer responsible for the end user's illegal activity? That's insane.
Yeah, and you're right. Silicon Valley has a similar issue. I'm trying to look up the law here. Basically, there is a law that protects. It's essentially kind of like a free speech type law that
Section 220. Is that what you're talking about? Section 220 or 210?
Yes, yeah, that one exactly. Yeah. Right. So Silicon Valley, right? They've been leaning on Section 220 to say, hey, look, like, we're not responsible for the content that users put on social media or other tech platforms, and that's the game, right? That's the game. Instead of trying to create community reviewers or policies, right, and policy teams that are having to review content. A lot of tech companies are leaning on existing law, and unfortunately that means you have to go to court. And so I think this is going to be a moment for the firearms industry to hopefully come together. SHOT Show is coming up in January, right? We're all going to be together in Las Vegas for SHOT Show. I am sure that the Glock, V line and this whole general issue will be the talk of the town. And I think the gun industry, right? We need to figure out a coordinated strategy, right, to make sure that the first domino of Glock falling. I hope that we need to stop it from other dominoes, right, following behind. So this needs to stop, and it needs to stop now.
We got about 3 minutes here. So you tell me, if you were advising Glock right now, you were sitting on the shoulders of the CEO, and you could whisper in his ear, what are you telling Glock to do now? Now that they've done this, what's their next move in your opinion?
Yeah. I think immediately, I think there's some PR damage control that needs to happen. There's just a certain amount of trust that's been lost. And I don't know exactly what that messaging would be, but essentially it's they need to apologize, right, in some kind of way, and they need to acknowledge that they made a mistake, and they need to then also lay out what that mistake was and what their thinking was and how that was faulty, right? Whatever that internal deliberation was, but I think they need to issue an apology. The second part here then is the lawsuit, right? That they need to really double down, and I would say they need to be the lead plaintiff, right? They need to literally put their money where their mouth is. They need to just be like, look, we're going to be the lead plaintiff. We're going to sue the heck out of the state of California and any other states that decide to pass a law like this. They're going to talk to members of Congress. They're going to talk to the president, right? They need to do full court press. That would be my suggestion, right? That they need to just nip this in the bud before it gets worse, because you know what? This can get really worse. This can get a lot worse if they don't get out in front of it. And I have a feeling they're probably going to see if they can just put their head under a rock and let this die down. But things like this do not die down, right? Gun owners, we have very long memories, and this is kind of this is almost in the bucket of unforgivable, right? I mean, this is folly. It's
a slippery slope. I mean, this is a slippery slope. Yeah, you've given in, and you're the first to capitulate. You're either going to have to stand up, or somebody's going to have to stand up. We're going to have to come together and do this. We're out of time. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion. Find him at topshotchris.com. Chris, as always, thanks for coming on board. Have a happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
Thanks for having me on. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hold a second here. Don't go anywhere. Folks, we got more coming up. Willie Waffle, The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio.
Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Dude, I'm with you on this. You know, they should, I mean, first of all, I don't see why they're not pushing the PLCAA card like all over the place, because that law shields them from any liability of anybody doing something illegal with their lawful product, right? And again, that should be primacy. And, you know, if Glock doesn't have to do this alone, if Glock stands up, you know, maybe Smith or SIG or Keltec or you know, Winchester, all these different brands, they could get together and say, you can't do this. We can't control what people do illegally after we've sold the product.
Yeah.
You know, we can't make them foolproof, right? You can't, like I said, you can't rocket-proof a Ford truck or a Chevy truck. Just like anything else, you need to prosecute the criminals who are doing the bad things. And this does nothing but create more heartache, and it shows that you're willing to bend. And it shows you blinked first, and that's what it comes down to.
Exactly. And it's such a bad look. It's such a bad look, not just for Glock, but the entire firearms industry. Because if Glock can blink, right? If you're an anti-gunner, right, looking at this whole situation, right, the anti-gunners are looking and seeing we just chalked up a huge win. Glock, one of the largest firearms manufacturers in the world, just blinked. They capitulated. So you know what? That's that first domino to fall. We're gonna apply pressure and try and get right SIG and Beretta and all these other firearms manufacturers to follow suit. So yeah, we really need to push back hard. Us, right, as consumers of these products, you know, if you well, I guess whether you are a Glock fan or not, I mean, we need to be you know, putting pressure on Glock, whether this is posting in you know, in Reddit forums, other places online, you know, contacting you know, Glock and telling them like they need to backtrack. They need to cancel this whole Glock V line, you know, 100% cancel it, right? SHOT Show's coming up. They're probably going to try and fulfill new orders for this exciting new Glock V line. It's like, no, stop it. Halt the presses, all this marketing collateral that you're printing for SHOT. No, burn it. Just recycle it, or keep one for your personal museum or whatever. But this Glock V line, it's got to go away.
Yeah. Well, you know, this is why you don't negotiate with terrorists, right? Because you know exactly what happens when they discover what works. They do more of it. That's why you don't negotiate with them. Brian just said first they came for Glock, right? And then ... Follow the money. First they came for Glock. They saw that Glock would blink. Now it's SIG or Beretta or Ruger or Smith and Wesson or whoever, you know. And you got to push back. You got to say no. And yeah, it's going to cost money. It's going to cost money, but you got to get that out there. And you know, it's frustrating to watch this. And again, the damage done, not just to Glock's reputation, but to the gun industry as a whole, is what I'm looking at right now.
Exactly. You know, for most guns, you take a Dremel to the sear, and you can basically convert a lot of semi-auto firearms into full auto, right, with a simple Dremel and shaving off some of the sear. So you know, this whole concept of, hey, firearms manufacturers can modify, you know, parts of the gun to prevent it from being full auto. I mean, this can extend to the AR-15, right? This can extend to the vast majority of semi-automatic firearms. So, you know, trigger companies, right? Geisley and Timney, you know, let alone obviously you know, the AR-15 manufacturers. I mean, there's a lot of negative exposure here, legal risk, brand damage, and gosh, I hope we don't see rifle companies and Timney and Geisley better not be thinking about modifying their trigger group so you can't shave off pieces with a Dremel. I mean, like, how do you prevent anybody from shaving off pieces of your product with a Dremel? I mean,
well, that's the thing. I mean, or do you make the mechanism so complicated that any modification basically just causes it to brick up?
Yeah.
I mean, how does that serve anything as far as serviceability and life, longevity and things like that? No, you're right. I was kind of like, I just rolled my eyes on this, but at the same time, you're right. This has got deeper ramifications, and I hope Glock steps up. I mean, has NSSF had any kind of position on this, or I got about a minute here.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything come out from them, but I think I'm going to contact NSSF after this and kind of put my 2 cents into this one, because it's so bad.
Yeah,
it's so bad. I have limited time like everybody else, and this is one issue I think I need to focus a little bit of my time and energy and trying to
you've got a lot more horsepower than I do in that industry and market, so it wouldn't be a bad thing. Well, my friend, have a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you continue to feel better, and we will chat with you here in 2-3 weeks.
Indeed. I look forward to coming back and chatting with you and your listeners. It's gonna be another great time.
Always good to talk to you, my friend. We'll catch you later. Thanks so much for coming on board. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, season 4. All right, folks, here we go. Okay, the weekend for the short week, the week after. That's the best part. Nothing better than a 4-day weekend than the 3-day work. I mean, this is so good. So good. Willie Waffle critic extraordinaire joins us this morning to talk about movies and entertainment and everything else. I mean, isn't it a great 3-day weekend next week, or do you have to work all weekend? I mean, or all week. I'm just,
I have a 2.5-day week next week.
Hate you so much right now. In a loving Christian way.
Sorry, buddy.
I just hate you so much in a loving Christian way. Yeah, but it's going to be great next week, and we're going to lighten it up a little bit next week. We're going to just have some fun. I think we're going to talk about favorite movies and holiday, favorite Thanksgiving memories or recipes or whatever. So we're going to have some fun stuff next week as well. But let's get to Friday right now and the entertainment review. Where are we going to start? How about the one I really don't care about? Ariana Grande. I mean, come on, that seems mean to me, but I mean, I'm mean about that. But apparently she was attacked by somebody or other. Give me the deets here. What's going on?
Yeah, no, this is quite a shocking story, if you ask me. So Ariana Grande and all the cast of Wicked are out promoting the movie, and they had a big event in Singapore on the yellow carpet. Ha ha ha. Well, at that moment when she's walking down the yellow carpet, this so-called Australian influencer decided to jump the rope, run up, and grab her, like hug her, like capture her in his arms.
Whoa.
And yeah, I mean, like, that's not cool, okay? And if you see the video, it was wild, because like Cynthia Erivo, who is her co-star, let me tell you, that girl don't mess around. She got in there, was just giving this dude the business, and security guys came in and they got him out of there. Well, he was arrested, because this is an assault. Okay, let us not call it anything other than what it is. He assaulted her, and sure enough, he faced a judge earlier this week and was sentenced to 9 days in jail, and he got lucky. Okay, the maximum penalty was 3 months in jail and a $1,500 fine. And what makes it? Oh, go ahead.
He's in Singapore too, right? I mean, they're in Singapore. So
yeah, they're in Singapore.
I mean, he's lucky he didn't get caned, because that's an actual punishment in Singapore for this kind of behavior.
Yeah, Singapore doesn't mess around. Okay, like, you just don't want to break the law in Singapore. Okay, and I really think this guy had it coming, because A, like I said, it's an assault. But like, this is what he does to get attention. Like, he's had other incidents. He was at a Katy Perry concert where he ran up on the stage and like put his arm around her. He's been at other concerts by The Weeknd and the Chainsmokers, and his coup de grace until this moment was at the FIFA Women's World Cup Finals in 2023 when he ran onto the field. And he thinks this makes him an influencer. He's on YouTube. He's got videos of all this stuff. All I'm saying is, what the heck?
Narcissism and mental illness do not make a good combination. That's kind of what I'm looking at there.
Yeah, but you know what scares me more is he's making money off of YouTube somehow doing this.
Oh, of course he is.
Let's just stop watching this moron.
Well, people love.
Let's just say enough is enough.
Look, people love to watch a train wreck. Have you seen that whole Somalia Johnny thing where he went over to overseas and he would belittle and be mean to people overseas, and he finally got arrested in Japan and Korea and ended up in jail over there? Yeah, I mean, but he had plenty of people that were following him that were watching him be an ass, and then they watched him get his beat down, and they were all laughing at him. Anyway, it's crazy. Social media is a cancer in many ways. There are some redeeming qualities, but very few. This kind of clout chasing is definitely not what you want to do. All right, so he's in jail. Good for him. Never hear from him again. Kevin Costner not playing a cowboy anymore. This time he's playing a cowboy.
He's playing a Bubba.
He's playing Bubba. He's going to play Bill Clinton of all people. What?
Yeah. So this is a wild one. So there is this new political drama series called United that is very deep in development. It's kind of a partnership between Leonardo DiCaprio and the United Nations. And it's a series that they want to kind of feature what they call a quote, true stories of heroism and perseverance by humanitarians in pursuit of making the world a better place. And that sounds really boring. And then they said, but we're going to get Kevin Costner to play Bill Clinton. And that's kind of cool. And supposedly he's in deep negotiations for this. Like, this is one of those deals, guys, where once the announcement comes out that they're in negotiations, it's probably happening. Like, this is not like by accident that something like this gets out. And and believe me, Kevin Costner needs to be working. Yeah, he lost a lot of money on that Horizon movie series, man. He lost a lot of money. So, and he recently got divorced. There's more money. So, Kevin Costner wants to work. I don't know if I buy him as Bill Clinton. I mean, that's the thing that gets me. I like Kevin Costner as an actor. I think he's a very good actor, but I don't think he's a chameleon. I think he can play a good character. I think Yellowstone was like the perfect character for him. But he's not like an impressionist, and I don't want to say impressionist because he's going to do more than that here. But like, he's not one of these guys who portrays other voices and other facial things. I don't know if this is going to work.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I hope it does.
Well, I don't care. Made in conjunction with the United Nations. You know what this just sounds like? It just sounds like propaganda. I mean, quite honestly, that's the United Nations is going to take our hard-earned tax dollars, which are supposed to help organize the world and everything else, and they're going to make a series of movies and pay Kevin Costner millions of dollars to do. I could care less at this point. But I do like Costner. I just. I don't see him in that role either. That's just me. But whatever. It's all good.
Hey, they're not going to bring him back to Yellowstone, so he's got to do something.
Exactly. Yeah, he kind of broke off a good thing there. I don't know what he was thinking, but again, I'm not Kevin Costner. Speaking of somebody who you didn't see playing anyone, Dick Van Dyke. I just heard my wife scream in the other room. Dick Van Dyke. She loves Dick Van Dyke. I mean, we watch the old Dick Van Dyke show all the time. Great guy. He's what is he? 99 years old, still out there walking around. I mean, just
weeks
crazy.
away from turning 100. Weeks away.
So he made an absolute just wow claim. Tell me what this is about.
This is the kind of claim you can make when you're 99 years old and nobody who could dispute it is alive anymore.
Wow.
but I'm gonna say he has no reason to lie, other than he was on the Today Show and he's selling a book that he wrote about being honored. But he was asked. There's long been a rumor that Dick Van Dyke was approached to play James Bond when Sean Connery gave up the role back in 71.
Wow.
And he said, yes, it's true.
He said
Albert Piccoli. Yep. He said it's true. He said Albert Piccoli, the producer, came to me and he said, I want you to think about playing James Bond. Would you do this? And he thought about it very seriously. And in the end decided he was going to turn it down because he didn't think audiences could handle him kind of playing more of an adult, more of a violent role compared to a lot of the failure that he had done up until then, like Shitty Shitty Bang Bang and Mary Poppins and things like that.
Right.
But can you imagine if Dick Van Dyke had played James Bond? Do you imagine? I mean, changing the trajectory of that entire franchise.
It would have been crazy. I don't know. And because he's so comedic in so many ways, I don't know. Boy, that would have been hard. I mean, he had the looks, he had the chops for some of that stuff, but I don't know. That's wild. I mean, that's wild that he confirmed it. But yeah, that would have been totally different.
Yeah, it would have been different. And I think that he was right, though. I think audiences, especially back then, would have had a very difficult time accepting him in something other than family fare. I mean, this was a time when you really did get typecast very, very severely, and you just couldn't break the mold. You didn't get those chances. There weren't those little indie movies that you could make to maybe show people that you were a different kind of actor or actress. And so I think he made a good decision.
Yeah.
But boy, that is one of the big what ifs in the world, ain't it?
That's crazy, isn't it? And of course, we're mad at him now because he gave us George Lazenby. So I mean, that was
okay. I'm good with Lazenby. I thought he was fine. I think Lazenby gets a raw deal. I think he was fine as James Bond, and he still has the great in any James Bond movie.
Which one?
When he has that opening sequence and he kind of walking towards the camera and he goes, wow, that never happened to the other guy, or something like that.
That's great. All right. So that's the entertainment news for today. Well, let's go to the 3 movies in theater and on Apple TV. We got about 4.5 minutes here. What worst to best? Give it to me here.
All right, then worst. We're gonna start with Marky Mark, and it's not horrible. Don't get too upset, Mark. This is on Apple TV Plus. This is their big movie this weekend. It is called The Family Plan 2. That's right. There was a Family Plan 1 that came out a couple years ago, where Marky Mark was this mild-mannered family guy. It turns out he was secretly he had a life as an assassin, as a high-paid assassin during his life.
Right.
And the past caught up with him. Well, now it's a few years later. The whole family knows about it. And, he's got his own security firm, and his daughter is going to school over in London. And he says, well, by golly gee, well, how about the whole family goes to London and France for Christmas vacation, as all of us are wont to do, right?
Right.
And, and of course, while he's over there, he meets up with a possible new client played by Kit Harington. Except he's no client, my friends. Yeah, you knew that was going to happen. And that's where the action comedy begins. And listen, it's not horrible. Like I said, it's pretty mundane. It's pretty rote. It's going to have some decent action scenes. I will give them credit. They do a lot of fun scenes at very memorable places around Paris and around London to really kind of, make you feel like they truly were there. They weren't just making it up on some soundstage, and it just looks really cool. There's some funny lines in here. Frankly, Michelle Monaghan as his wife is the one who steals the movie, because she's really liking this high class elite assassin life, and gets the best lines in there too. but I'm going to go 2 waffles. No big surprises, nothing special. But hey, Marky Mark knows how to deliver. He can keep you occupied for 2 hours.
Yep, and he's going to keep his paycheck rolling. That's all that matters. Okay, so 2 waffles for the family plan, Apple TV. Where do we go from there?
Then we go Wicked for Good. It is part 2 of Wicked. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I hope you remember The Wizard of Oz. I hope you remember the first Wicked, because if you don't, there's a lot of stuff where you're sitting around scratching your head going, why is that important? What's the big deal there? And I think that's a failure in storytelling, to be honest with you.
Ooh.
And this movie really does pick up where the last one left off, right? Elphaba has gone off. She has been portrayed as the wicked witch, but she's really the person who knows the truth about the wizard and wants to take him down. And she's now the subject of all sorts of lies about her, led by her former friend, played by Ariana Grande, who's conflicted. She enjoys the spotlight she has. She likes being the wizard's right-hand gal, but she feels bad about what's going on with her pal. And this thing has more heel turns than WWE WrestleMania, baby. I mean, this one's good, then this one's bad, then that one's bad, then this one's good. You're kind of trying to keep up. I think the story gets very muddled towards the end as we're trying to kind of figure out how are they going to, come to this climax that we all remember from The Wizard of Oz.
Right.
And how are they going to get around it? Now, I will say, visually stunning, great music. Ariana Grande is fantastic in this movie, just like she was fantastic in the last one. I mean, she's got the best role. She's got the most conflict, the most emotion. She's an amazing singer. I'm at 2.5 waffles at Wicked for Good.
All right. Well, we got less than a minute, my friend. Rental Family, Brendan Fraser. Give it to me. 60 seconds, less.
The movie your soul needs, my friends. Yes, Brendan Fraser, an American actor down on his luck in Japan, and he takes one of these jobs, and this is a true thing in Japan. He takes a job with this firm that has you play stand-in roles for strangers who need someone. Maybe you go to a funeral with somebody, or you go to a wedding with somebody, and he starts to get these jobs that are transforming his life and transforming the lives of those around him as all the lonely people find each other and try to help each other out.
Wow.
It's really beautiful. It's really wonderful. Brendan Fraser is the guy who can deliver something like this, because he has such a sweet, naive face, but yet delivers all that emotion, all that caring. I am at 3.5 waffles. I'm telling you, go see this one.
Is this an Oscar contender, do you think?
I hope so. I fear that it's too innocent for Oscar to embrace, but I think as other Oscar contenders fall by the wayside, this one sneaks in and Brendan Fraser sneaks in.
All right, folks, next week is Thanksgiving weekend, so we're going to be a short week next week, but we will see you on Monday. Be kind, love one another, live well. I got to say, Brendan Fraser, I have a soft spot for Brendan Fraser. I think a lot of people do. Because he was done so dirty, there at one point during his career. But he just really is a great actor. I've always loved him in almost everything he's done. And then you saw The Whale, and you were like, "My God, this guy is an actor." And I'm just this sounds like an amazing movie.
Oh no, it's a really amazing movie, and it's kind of like that really perfect kind of holiday movie. Like you can go with like your older kids, you can go with your parents. You guys can kind of get wrapped up in the sweet story. He's trying to help this little girl, pretending to be her long lost father when she really needs somebody. He pretends to be a reporter who's interviewing this legendary director who thinks nobody remembers him. He's put into these situations where he brings out that humanity and that kindness that I think a lot of people really want to see and want to enjoy these days.
Well, I could use a feel-good movie, and this is, again, something new. It's called Rental Family. It's in theaters. Brendan Fraser. 3.5 sounded like almost 4 waffles from Willie Waffle there. That's good. I'm going to mark that on my list. Willie, as always, my friend, thank you. Have a great weekend. Get some rest, and then enjoy your 2.5 days of work next week, and then we'll see you the week after, okay?
You got it. I will be back. We're going to have a George Clooney movie to talk about in a couple weeks.
Okay, do not eat too much pumpkin pie. if there is such
I
a thing.
cannot promise that. I cannot promise that.
I think I get one all to myself this year. All right, Willie, thank you so much. All right, folks, we'll see you next week. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.